Okay, well, everybody, we would like to welcome you to another episode of the Mike and Bradley Sports Scene. I'm Mike Smith, and this is Bradley Hargis. And Ethan is our cameraman and engineer. And, of course, we're going to talk about sports in the area, the local area, and the collegiate level, and the national and international scene in sports. As tonight, of course, it's April. Spring is in the air. The flowers in the bloom, and of course, the six-legged critters are conspiring to find out which house they're going to go to this year. So
the allergies are acting up too.
So if you don't want the ants in your pantry, spiders in your shower, and ticks and fleas thinking that's your all-you-can-eat buffet, you sure to get out that bug spray. But anyway, we're going to talk about a little bit about sports. First off, we're going to, of course, talk about the high school scene. Of course, softball, baseball, flag football, soccer underway here as well. Last night, Bledsoe County girls avenged a 15-1 loss to Sequatchie County with a 10-2 win in 6.5 innings against Sequatchie County at Pikeville. I did the game last night, and they actually started to show some form.
Good.
Pitching started to look a little sharper than it did at the beginning of the season. And as well, of course, the boys had Van Buren County last night. Last score I had was 7-1 and then of course they started a little later, but they were in the fourth inning, and probably pretty much took care of the business.
Speaking of critters, there's an 8-legged critter. You want that little feller?
No, thank you. And I have this thing about 8-legged critters, thinking I'm an all-you-can-eat diner. But anyway, the girls, of course. Still have a little bit of the season left to go before the postseason begins. Bradley, obviously the girls are starting to get it back together.
Well, an opportune time now. Because you're getting toward the end of the season, tournaments will be coming up. So now is the time, regardless of what you've done the first half of the season, now is the time to get hot and to find a rhythm. And going with that momentum into the district tournament is going to be huge for Bledsoe County softball. 2-4 in the year. But they've played some pretty tough teams. Soddy Daisy, Ray County. Teams that historically are really good because, and that's look at the record and say, well, that's really not that good. But really, when you're playing quality teams, because the other teams in the area won't play you, you have to. You're going to have a record that looks like that. Yeah. You're playing bigger schools with more quality opponents, and that's why you have that record. Now, what that will do is because they have played bigger schools and better schools, that will give them more, I wouldn't say training, but that'll give them more experience going into the second half of the season because they've played those caliber opponents. That's going to help them a lot. 2-4 is not good on paper, but again, they find their rhythm now. It's going to catapult them in to the next few weeks, and that's the best case scenario for Bledsoe County softball.
Their pitching has matured, and of course the first game with Sequatchie County, Averill did the pitching for the majority of the game, and she was not a pitcher. I think they put her in a season that she can handle it, and now they got her. They got the other one back up and running, and she looked sharp in that game last night against Sequatchie County. Of course. They still have a few games left to go in the season, and that sort of thing. Now the baseball team seems to be doing pretty good, getting the rhythm, and they have a pretty good lineup.
The baseball team has won the last 4 games. They are on a 4-game winning streak, 10-6 being the record, beating Van Buren last night and the game before that. Bledsoe County is 7-3 away. Really good away record. They're 3-3, actually 4-3 at home. But the thing that I like about Bledsoe County baseball is when you're looking at the stats, the runs that they have scored this year, 143.
Yeah, that's pretty
total.
Good. Pretty good.
The runs that they have allowed, runs against, is 89. So that spread for those two stats it shows pretty good things for Bledsoe County baseball. They are, they've dropped a few games they probably should have won, but they've won games that they probably should have lost. Yeah. So it kind of goes back and forth. But Bledsoe is, in good shape right now, moving into the second half of the season. They've got South Pittsburgh tomorrow night at South Pittsburgh at 6 o'clock. And rounding out the season with Sale Creek, Grundy, Arts and Sciences, Lookout Valley, and Clark Rain. So they don't have that many games left. The next home game is April 13th against Grundy County. That's a 5:30 game, first pitch. But again, their pitching is good, their offense is producing, and defensively they're playing pretty good ball. I mean, Bledsoe County baseball is really improved this year over last year, and last year over the year before. So they're moving in the right direction. And again, that's going to look good going into the tournaments to have this momentum if they can keep it up. Again, won 4 straight, so that's really going to help them as they go into the district tournament. Same thing with softball.
Okay, flag football. We do have a little announcement concerning flag football. Next Monday night, we're going to do the broadcast of that. So I'm going to be doing the inaugural broadcast. Brad can join me if you want. They'll play Van Buren County. So Emily will no doubt want to see a flag football contest between Bledsoe County and Van Buren County, and that'll be actually the regular at 4 o'clock, and the junior varsity at 6:15, and then of course they'll have the next home game. We'll have 3 teams paying a visit there, so that's going to be a full game. So we're hopefully going to have that broadcast for you next Monday night. Of course, the baseball team's playing that night, Monday night. Softball team's also playing that Monday night at home. So there's going to be a full plate here. And as much as I would love to do all 3 of them at the same time, that's just not possible, Bradley.
Well, now according to you're a master at multitasking.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way, right? Multitasking, I mean, one of my eyes go off and tell me what's going on at the same time.
You can't decide when you're going to take your cape off and when you're not. You claim to be Superman, so why can't you do it all?
Because even Superman can't be in 3 places at once. But you let me know when you find Christopher Reeve. He'll sure be glad to help me out on that. But anyway, next Monday night will be a full plate of competition.
Hey, the interesting thing about flag football is they lost the first 3. They've won the last 4. So they started off rocky, found their groove. Now they are starting to really play some good football, and it's odd to say the girls are really starting to play some good football on the field. They're finding out where everybody's supposed to be. They're learning. They're playing well. Ever Walker and company, and they are really just playing lights out right now. Four straight wins. They have scored 126 points this year, allowed 76. So again, the spread of that ratio is in our favor, and that shows good things for BCHS flag football. The soccer team, they're 2-4 on the year. They're doing fairly well. They've lost the last 2, but they play Watertown tomorrow night. But the boys soccer is doing okay. They are 4th in the district, I believe, right now, but there's still room to improve. They got several district games coming up: Sequatchie County, Lookout Valley, Sail Creek, and CSAS. They're all coming up in the latter part of the season, so that could definitely change, and then move up to 2nd or maybe 3rd, or at least 3rd if things work out the way we'd like them to.
Yeah, well, like I said, this is going to be an interesting game next Monday night. You got a full play. If you don't like one sport, you can always go around and see the other. And
get your golf cart. You'll be able to travel all of them. Just go back and forth. Right?
And obviously, Coach Tabor is going to be watching the flag football, and I kid him that he's probably looking for players to fill in the football ranks for the fall. And by the way, I did talk to Coach Tabor last night after the Bledsoe Sequatchie County matchup. He says that everything is going well. The spring training is good there. They're going to start spring practice April 20th. They're going to have a scrimmage with Rockwood on the 5th of May. He'd like everybody to show up for that as well.
That'd be a good test.
That should be a good test. Rockwood went 7-5 last year, and so they're a good competitive team. And
Rockwood's a tough team. Now, regardless of what their record is, they're kind of like us. They're corn-fed country boys like we are, and all they want to do is hit somebody. So I mean, you get to play a team like Rockwood, Bledsoe County, Rockwood, even Coalfield, and teams like that are just kind of out in the middle of nowhere. They want to hit you.
I don't think it ought to be like what you guys did through a scrimmage with somebody and they had to break it up more or less.
Well, that was against Ray County. That was years ago. I think we've scrimmaged.
I thought it was Cannon County.
No. We had football camp, and there were several teams down there. Cumberland County, Whitwell, Ray County, Rockwood has even came over for our camp. Our 2 days at one time. But that was the year that Ray County. That was my sophomore year. Ray County and those guys. Of course, the thing about that is that some of the guys playing on our team had played and knew those Ray County players because they lived out on that mountain.
Yeah.
So when they went to high school, it kind of split. So they came here. The rest of them went over there, and it was kind of a rivalry without being a rivalry, and things got a little heated and didn't fare too well. But needless to say, Bledsoe County was running the floor, or running the court, I'll get it right in a minute. Running the field. We'll get it right.
The court. You're talking about basketball.
Floor, court, field, whatever. Bledsoe was really putting it on Ray County in our scrimmages. So they elected not to come back.
So that sort of thing. But like I said, a lot of action still to go on in spring sports. Plenty of action.
Oh yeah.
You got your dealer's choice there of soccer, softball, baseball, flag football, and about any other sport that you might want to name. I mean, of course, fishing. I think it's supposed to be I think it's year round.
Fishing goes year round.
Year round now. So basically, is that most people can fish, so it doesn't take a lot of talent. Of course, I fish the.
Now wait a minute. Hold on a second. Fishing don't take a lot of talent.
Hey,
have you ever been fishing?
Yes, I have. I used the redneck way of fishing. Stick a dynamite into the water.
You don't understand. There are so many, and that's. I'm gonna argue with that because there's females that will argue that cheerleading is a sport and people that say that it isn't. I think it is because it takes some athletic ability. But when it comes to fishing, man, it is a science. You got to know water temperature. You got to know depth. You got to know temperature outside. You got to know wind speed. You got to know current. You got to know color. You got to know shade of the water. There's so many things you got to know. It's cerebral.
Let me tell you.
It's not physically demanding, but cerebrally, you have to know what's going on. Fishing is a very, very tough thing to do. You can't just go out on a lake and start throwing a line and hope to catch anything.
Yeah, well, I did that. Okay, well, I went fishing with my dad, and I said, I can catch more fish than you do. I said, yeah, go ahead and see, try. He didn't catch a thing, and I caught a whole bunch of fish, and I never seen anybody so mad in all my life.
Well, there's a big difference. There's a big difference in going to like the river and the pond. I mean, you kind of when you're in a pond, you're going to catch those brim and bluegill and things like that like crazy. I mean, that's where you take the young kids, let them have a lot of fun. But when you get up into tournament fishing and you're bass fishing, crappie fishing, pike, musk, all those things, trout, man, those things require you to know a lot more than just throw a line.
What you think about it is when I said fishing, I meant ordinary fishing. I didn't mean tournament fishing. Now, I watched Bill Dance when I was
that's
younger.
The thing. You're talking about high school fishing. They don't do ordinary fishing. They do tournament fishing.
Yeah, I know it's tournament fishing.
You can't backtrack now. You done said it. You done offended all of those anglers out there that's trying to go.
I'm sure you're going to go tell them what I said.
I don't have to. You've already had. You've done went and offended all of those anglers, semi-pro.
I apologize to the tournament anglers, but like I said, we got to get them in here one day, and I will apologize to them in person. But like I said, with most regular fishing, it don't take a lot of talent. You just go out there and you throw it out. I use cheese as bait. And it catches fish.
Friends, young men, young ladies out there fishing for Bledsoe County, I know it is tough, and I know that you have a lot of preparation that goes along with it. And please don't let the naysayers discourage you from doing what you know you're good at. Get out there and keep catching those fish. There is more to it than just throwing a line out there. Cheese is pretty good bait though. If you're going to fish in a pond, I choose. My personal choice is of course the old-fashioned red worms, but if I don't have them on hand, hot dogs work really, really good.
I also use bologna. Bologna does it as well. You put little strips in that sort of thing.
I'll tell you one thing though, just a side note. You can train fish. Me and Nathan, a lot of friends.
How do you train fish? Now I don't know why. Listen to this.
If you listen to me, I won't tell you. Me and Nathan and a bunch of our friends used to go fishing out at Brockdale on Willie Ray's Pond. We'd go camping when we was in school a lot. And we'd go out there, we'd fish all night and fish all morning and get up, go do our thing, go back out there that next evening, camp again, and keep fishing during the summer. Well, we'd stop by Brockdale Market and we'd go in and we wanted the fish at Willie Ray's Pond preferred Oscar Mayer. And I'll tell you this to be true. This has been proven. We did studies on this. We fished with different brands. We fished with Ballpark, Oscar Mayer, the generic red kind. We fished with all kinds of different, but we caught more fish on the Oscar Mayer hot dog weenies than we did at any brand.
Now what's this got to do with training fish? You can't train fish. You can train a dog, you can't train a fish.
Those fish were trained to expect the best. They wouldn't, if they went up to it and they said, "Hey, it don't smell like a Ballpark," or that don't smell like an Oscar Mayer to me, they wouldn't get it. I'm just saying, I don't make the rules, man. I'm just telling you what happens.
We're going to get the fishing team in here, and they're going to explain to everybody. I'm going to apologize to them because I apologize. I didn't say this to them because they're tournament fishing. I said,
That's
just ordinary fishing. I control a line in the water and catch fish. I mean, you know.
So they could put you on that commercial, like that Geico commercial, so easy a caveman can do it. Mm-hmm. That could be like pond fishing, like so easy even Mike can do it.
I don't pond fish. I go out to a lake and fish. I go out to the lake and fish. I go out there and fish because it's beautiful way to fishing focuses your thoughts. I mean, fishing focuses your thoughts.
Now he's painting a better picture, Jim. Now you're trying to dig yourself out of that hole.
I ain't trying to dig myself out of that hole.
It's all right. It's all right.
You talk about training fish.
It works. I'm telling you.
You can't train a fish like you could train a dog.
You certainly can. You certainly can.
I bet you're one of those who watches the Three Stooges how they fish.
Yeah, that's how I learned. That's how I learned.
Do you hit a fish over the head with thinking, and it turns out to be a moe?
If it's big enough, yeah.
Yeah, brother. What can I say?
I mean, I wouldn't care to do that.
But anyway, of course, high school sports. We'll get back to this, and I do apologize again to the Butler County fishing team, and for Bradley Hardison who likes to get me into trouble.
We'll put him.
Let's talk about. Then you're going to talk about saltwater pools next.
We'll put him on probation for a week or two.
Go talk about saltwater pools next.
Don't bring that up.
Whatever. But anyway,
you're the one who drinks the water.
Whatever. Don't ask unless you were there one night. Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to go to a break in the action here, and then of course we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the college basketball, college football, and just basically college sports in general as you're watching the Mike and Bradley sports scene here on Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative.
Come and see the beautiful Sequatchie Valley. And while you're here, visit the Dunlap Mercantile. We have a full line of hats from Resistol, Stetson, Charlie One Horse, American Hat Makers, GG Pip, Greeley hats from the TV show Yellowstone, and a full line of vintage hats. Make sure to check out our hat bar where we can clean, shape, and customize a hat just for you, right here at the Dunlap Mercantile.
At Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter, we're committed to be better. Better prices, better vehicles, a better experience. Your Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter understands that you rely on us to provide you with the highest quality of used vehicles. With over 350 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. So what are you waiting for? Let us show you a better experience with the Jason Lewis Automotive family. Come visit us at Rankin Avenue here in Dunlap or on the web at dunlapsupercenter.com.
You need a bank that you can depend on. Here at Citizens Tri-County Bank, we have the most dependable staff that you will ever meet. Call in, you will not get an automated attendant, you'll get a person. But on the other side, we have all the technology that anyone would need, from apps to online banking to bill pay. So please come and grow with us as we're about to celebrate our 50th year. We are the only community bank you will ever need.
Okay, everybody, we're back as Bradley's keep fascinated with a giant wasp on the ceiling here in the building. And we're going to talk a little about college sports, college basketball. Of course, that has come to an end this week as national champions have been crowned for the men's team. Michigan, which beat Tennessee in the Elite Eight,
Michigan
beat UConn to claim their first crown since 1989. Congratulations to the Wolverines of Michigan. Their last game they lost was to Purdue in the Big Ten championship game. Since then, they won big and by major scores, so they pretty much dominated the tournament in the NCAA. In the women's tournament, UCLA won their very first national championship in the women's sport, defeating South Carolina, and that didn't go out with a little bit of controversy as UConn's whatever his name is. Had a few words with Don Staley, the South Carolina coach, and obviously some words were exchanged. They did apologize to each other later, but apparently Gino had some contentions with the officiating.
Let's clarify that. Gino made a public apology to South Carolina. He did not apologize to Don Staley. And I heard so many people picking on that, and
yeah.
I'm gonna probably catch a lot of flack on this, but I'm gonna tell you this: Gino Auriemma is an intense basketball coach.
Yeah.
He does not like to lose. I understand that. Nobody likes to lose.
Yeah.
Don Staley is intense. Kim Mulkey is intense. Tara Vandiver at Stanford was intense. Nobody likes to lose a ball game.
No.
And what he saw as his player went down there into the floor, lost control of the ball, thought there should have been a foul. She got angry, ripped her own jersey.
Yeah.
So when she comes back, Gino thinks that South Carolina had ripped her jersey.
Yeah.
And no fouls called. So he's already in this mindset. And granted, right, wrong, or indifferent, there were some calls that should have been made in that game.
Yeah.
And there were some calls that were made that shouldn't have been made. So let's both sides. But Gino was upset because he thought the officiating was unfair and one-sided. And he might have a case on that, but then again, he might not. It's Gino. And most Tennessee fans are like, I don't care. It's Gino. Whatever.
Yeah.
He deserves it. Same people were saying the same thing about Dawn Staley when she helped South Carolina rise to preeminence in women's college basketball. We don't like her either. Why? Because they win. So I'm going to go catch some flack for this, but I respect Gino Auriemma.
I respect him too.
The reason that I do, the big heated rivalry for years between Tennessee and UConn when Pat Summitt was coach. Pat Summitt and him didn't like one another. They didn't make no bones about it.
Yeah.
She made it known, he made it known. That's just the way it was. Recruiting battles that happened between those two, there's no love lost between them. When she passed away, I have not ever, not once, when people talk to Gino about being the best women's college basketball coach ever, not one interview. Now, y'all may have something different. You may have seen something different, but I personally have never seen an interview where that question came up and he did not mention Pat Summitt. I respect that.
Yeah.
They were rivals, but he respected her as a coach. I don't care much for necessarily back in the day for the rivalry because I didn't like Gino back then.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm pro UConn now.
Uh-huh.
But Gino was standing up for his players. Gino was doing what Gino does. And if you expected anything less or anything more, then that's on you. But that's normal Gino things for me. That didn't surprise me at all. Matter of fact, it surprised me more that Dawn Staley, when she responded to him, didn't get more heated than she did, because she's the one that usually shoots off first. So both the two perfect, scenarios on both sides coming together, who desperately want to win, who are so intense. That's bound to happen. That's bound to happen.
UConn and Tennessee didn't play each other for a number of years because some thought that Gino was cheating. No, I don't know how what proof she had, if she had any, but that sort of thing. But look at it this way. Before we go on, we do want to mention Auburn has won the NIT. So first year under Coach T. Pearl, wins the NIT after being snubbed by the NCAA. So that may that worked well for Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we want to talk about the Tennessee Lady Vols and the situation they got themselves into. Something I thought I'd never see or anything. Apparently, every one of the starting lineup for her team apparently has transferred out. Apparently, now I can only guess at the reasons why they did it, but apparently is partially due to the players themselves, their attitude. It used to be in those days when Pat Summitt was the coach, those players stayed and did what they were told to do and how to do it, and played like champions. Nowadays, it seems like is that you get on them, they seem to just can't handle it.
Here's the thing, and it's thing that I said on social media, and I've said this all season long.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Caldwell is doing her best to coach with intensity.
Mm-hmm.
The same that we saw in Pat Summitt,
the
same that we mentioned in Gino and Dawn Staley, Kim, that she's trying to coach hard.
Yeah.
As far as discipline.
Mm-hmm.
The generation that she is coaching right now can't take that. The generation she's coaching right now get their feelings hurt, they turn around, and they run off. Now, again, that's no fault to them.
Yeah.
That's no fault to them, because our society has built that.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily the coach's fault. That's not the player's fault. Our society as a whole is suffering from what I call SBS.
Yeah.
Spoiled brat syndrome. Our society suffers from it. Our players suffer from it. And what is aided in that is the NIL and the transfer portal.
Yeah.
Those things all coming together, and that they don't want to be told what to do. They come in there thinking they're already good. They don't need coaching.
Uh-huh.
They don't want to respond to it. Now, Kim Caldwell, is at a disadvantage. Gino Auriemma can coach hard.
Right.
He has championships and success to back it up.
Uh-huh.
Dawn Staley can coach hard.
She's got
championships and a record to back it up.
Right.
Kim Mulkey, Tara Vanderveer, when she was at Stanford. All of those folks, those old school coaches, some of them still in the game, they're coaching hard, but they have success to back it up. Okay, that's them.
Yeah.
Kim Caldwell is trying to do that.
Yeah.
She don't have that same edge because she don't have the proven success.
No.
Now again, do I think Kim Caldwell can be a good basketball coach? I sure do. Do I think Kim Caldwell will succeed at Tennessee if the Tennessee faithful will be patient and let her build? I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Do I think that she will finally get a team together that will play not only for each other as far as a team, but for her and the school? I sure do. But the question remains, the big question mark around it is, again, will the Tennessee faithful give her time to do that? She just got Gabby Minus.
Yeah.
She's the only one returning.
Yeah.
She's come in number 62 in the nation, wing. She is set to arrive next season. She's staying, and we just received a transfer, Avery Mills. This came from Liberty. She's averaging 14 points a game, so there's already, a plus as far as building the program back. One thing that has done is I hope and I pray that what that has done with Tennessee going down to one player on the roster is it's gotten rid of the crybabies.
Maybe that's what they ought to do.
I firmly believe after watching Tennessee this year, we had some exceptional athletes. They were good players, They never played together. They all were out for themselves. They were playing selfish basketball, and they were crybabies.
Yeah, they could.
And it's not just Tennessee.
Yeah, it's a lot of those. You know, when Bear Bryant was head coach at Alabama, he said the worst thing that a player dreaded was to be called to his office. And he had this desk, and he had this sofa. And he said the biggest players in the world, and he said it had to be deliberate. The sofa was lower than the desk. So he would get in there, and you would sink into that sofa. And then he would look at you and look at that player, and he would ask, why aren't you doing what you're doing? Why aren't you getting in there, going to class, practicing what you do? He said, and he would say the words, son, you better straighten up. And a lot of those players, he had one guy who was Barry Krause, who was goofing off. He had Barry Krause crying and said, don't tell my mother this. And Brian says, you going to straighten up? He said, yes, sir. Says, you better do so. And he was the one who made that stop on Penn State at the goal line in the Sugar Bowl one year. He said because Bear Bryant, he said Bear Bryant could have easily have gotten rid of me if he felt like it. He said that's the difference. Back then, you didn't have NIL, you didn't have transfer rule.
No.
I mean, like this. He said it's like it's like players. He says Bear Bryant rarely gave second chances, and he never gave third chances.
Right.
That's because basically he'd get rid of you if you didn't do the job. You didn't show up in time for team meeting, you were gone. You had to do exactly. And coaches have to sometimes. Now let's not say that all athletes today are like that. Many athletes are dedicated to doing.
Yes, sir. I wholeheartedly agree.
They are the majority. It's just a few minority that seems to want to paint that black brush on everybody to get it done. And I think it's that maybe Tennessee Lady Vols will be maybe there's a blessing in these players taking off, because probably if they can't handle the stress, how are they going to handle anywhere else?
I think that's the truth, and I hope that is the case. There are a lot of great players in the transfer portal right now. The second leading scorer in the entire country, Crooks, the 6'3" center junior from Iowa State, large frame, gets in there, plays very well. She's on the transfer in the transfer portal. Johnson from Virginia is in the transfer portal. McGill from Florida, and the number 4 recruit in the transfer portal was Tyisha Cooper. Guess where she come from? Tennessee. So and we got Danny Carnegie coming from Georgia. There are a lot of players that are out there that can be brought in if they want to play for the Story program. But Kim Caldwell has got to let it be known at the very beginning. You come here to play, you come here to listen, and you come here to get coached. Yep. If you're not going to do that, don't come. Don't come.
Pat Summitt, Shanique Holzclaw, she got her bell rung on the court one time. Well, she was like, she was all there.
Yeah.
And Pat Summitt didn't know it, that she had her bell rung. And she knows that she was like sort of like the wanderer. I said, what's wrong with you? I said, you need to listen to snap, 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 get into it. And she wasn't listening, and somebody told her that she just had her bell rung on the court, and said, oh, okay. So, like that. Okay, well, that sort of thing. Of course, we do have good news. One player from the Tennessee Vols men's team, which had entered the has changed his mind. He's going to stay at Tennessee, apparently. They managed to persuade him to stay. By the way, Tennessee's men's team finished number 12 in the final poll. Mm-hmm. And so it's up 13 positions.
Losing their final game to the eventual champions, Michigan Wolverines, 95-62. A lot of their players, as soon as the season was over, man, they're in the transfer portal. Yeah. The one that really surprised me was J.P. Estrella. That really surprised me. I thought he would stay there. I thought he would be one that would stay, and I really hope that. I hope the best for Nate Ament. He was expected to go to the draft. Mm-hmm. I hope he stays. Really the only one that they have staying was, just a handful of players, but Armari Evans, Dwayne Brown, Ethan Berg, and Nate Ament, if you don't go to the draft. But they have a transfer from Belmont, Tyler Lundblade, good scorer, has a Dalton Connect like play style. He's already transferred 6th-year guard, so this will be his last year.
He's an 85% free throw shooter, so that's a good thing.
Rick Barnes has a good way of getting the best out of his players, and I think Tennessee's going to be okay on women's and men's side. I don't think it's going to be that big of an issue. They're going to put players on the court. It's just that, do they want to play for the coach? Do they want to play for the school? And do they want to be a part of a storied program like Tennessee is the question. Hats off to UCLA ladies, though. I mean, coming all the way through, finishing the season 37-1.
That's not bad.
37-1. Michigan finished the season 37-3. But going through all through there, and that's the likes of South Carolina beating Texas, who was the number 1 seed. UCLA girls played a really good season. Michigan played a really good season, and they're already talking about next season and how those two teams are not going to be the favorites to repeat. They weren't even the favorites to do anything this year. So I don't believe in polls, but like them, love them, whatever you feel about them. It's just they're already saying way too early preseason. A top 25, and UConn and South Carolina and the ladies is right up there.
Yeah,
and of course
they should be.
Duke and all those guys are up there with the men. So.
Well, college football, of course, spring practice will be ending this Saturday for the Tennessee Vols football team. They'll have their spring game. That'll be a 1 p.m. local time start. It is free. But the south end zone will be closed off due to construction going on there inside. The parking garages will open at 7 a.m. So if you want to park inside the garages near the stadium, you can do that as well. And of course, we'll hear about that Tennessee football. Who will be the starting quarterback is the question for Tennessee football and that sort of thing. But of course. I heard some friends who are Texas Shorthorn fans, and I use the term Shorthorn friends because you get a rise out of them. And they're talking about bringing Bevo. I said, yeah, sure, you can bring Bevo. It's what's for dinner. The problem is that the Texas people are ticked off because they can't take Bevo into the stadiums because basically they won't allow it.
Well, I understand the historical part of it, but and wanting to bring your mascot in with you, and I get that, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But let's be honest, when people were designing stadiums, they were not designing stadiums to house in one corner of the end zone a massive Longhorn bull.
Especially when it runs out onto the field and become for the game. That's just what's right. I don't think you got Ralphie, but because they don't take those things. They don't take Mike the Tiger to road games. And
it's funny. Why would you take an animal that large? If you have a blue tick coonhound, you can take that dog anywhere.
Or you can take Olga.
Or you have a little bulldog, you can take him anywhere.
But why does an elephant? Why doesn't Alabama have an elephant?
You can even take the rooster from South Carolina. Yeah. You can take it anywhere. Look, you can carry them in a cage. You can pull it on a leash. There's a big difference in a cow and a dog. A big difference in a tiger and a chicken.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. You're asking a little bit too much that the visiting teams would cater, to such a large mascot that you want there just because you want him there because he's the Texas Longhorn? No. I'm sorry.
The thing about it is that Alabama has Big Al, right?
Yeah.
Okay, they're Rail Offense and the Crimson Tide. Rail Offense is one of the more lesser known. How come they don't have a live elephant? They don't. No one's going to let them have an elephant in the stadium. How about Florida? They used to have a live gator, and until they found out one of their cheerleaders were missing. That's a joke going around. Of course, you Yellow Jackets, Georgia Tech has Yellow Jackets. Well, of course they're not going to have live Yellow Jackets. That's a bit much.
That would be a way to clear a sideline.
Clear to stay like a fire drill.
Sure, go over there, just pop the lid on those things, let them go. All right, automatic win.
Watch the Yellow Jackets and Cavaliers, and then you have Auburn has the Eagle.
Yeah.
The War Eagles. They're the only team I know has got 3 different names. What, Plainsman? War Eagle,
Tigers.
And I don't. You hear it all the time. About them. And their cherry is War Damn Eagle. That's their chant. So like Tennessee, of course, got Smokey. New Smokey 11 is going to be debuting this season at Knoxville. So that's going to be very interesting here. And like this way is that Mississippi State, before they were the Bulldogs, were the Maroons, the color of their uniform. Of course, they had to change it when it started saying the Morons. that's that sort of thing.
Well, they probably had to do that because I make a joke. Some people from Mississippi State probably couldn't spell maroons, didn't know there were 2 O's in it. So when they turned it in, they would read it over their loudspeaker, Mississippi State morons. No, that's a joke.
Well, of course, remember when the high school games a few years ago, how they like the Mangler player's name?
Oh,
Kovald.
Calvert is a very common name around here, and I don't know how it's not known other places, but they would read, they call the number Colvard with the carry, and I'm like, and Sam Agee.
Or Agee.
Agee is not a uncommon name, and they would say, one place said Aggie, and the other place said Agee, and I'm like,
and we can tell the speakers, hey, this is not how you pronounce them. And we did sort of thing, this sort of thing, what's in a name? Teams have different names over the years. You had the Bruins, UCLA Bruins. There are no Bears at UCLA in Los Angeles. There are no Bears.
No.
Trojans. When USC played Tennessee in 1981, UCLA scored 43 points on Tennessee, and one of the Tennessee players was afraid that every time they would score a touchdown, a guy in a Roman outfit would trot around a horse, and he said he was afraid that poor horse was going to have a heart attack. He said that sort of thing. So you look at what's in a name with team names. You have to think. Of course, you got Warriors for Bledsoe County. That's a common name around here.
Pretty common. Yeah.
You got 3 or 4 teams around here. I know if they got the name Warriors. Indians, Tigers, Pirates, South Pittsburgh Pirates. Come on, there's no Pirates in South Pittsburgh. I don't think. Is there?
I don't know. There's on the South River down there.
Just like the old argument. It's like Texas and Tennessee. They argue who is the real UT. Well, you look at it this way.
Well, they settled that because Tennessee was already a college before Texas was. So they were the original.
Well, it was known as East Tennessee College before it became UT, University of Tennessee.
They were using UT before Texas was.
But the Texas people lost on that one because the SEC said, okay, squatters' rights. Tennessee has been in the SEC longer than you have, therefore they get the UT, while they spell Texas as TEX. That's it. And that drive. Who's the big orange? Like Tennessee has the orange on the daisy. That's based on the daisy color. Texas has the burnt orange. Yeah, and then that sort of thing. They said Texas in the Cotton Bowl one year when they played Tennessee had the same color football as their jerseys, and you couldn't spot the football.
Yeah.
And that sort of thing. And I said it was probably dirty pool by Texas to do that.
It's not against the rules. So if they found a loophole, I mean, it's really not really on their really their fault.
Yeah. Like but that sort of thing. So like I said, Tennessee and Texas, who's the real UT? Well, you'll find out. They'll find out when Texas comes to Knoxville without Bevo, unless a
lot of people have stopped really talking about college football because it's kind of been a thing that we've kind of phased out because the other sports have come in. But let's be reminded of the transfers and things of last year going into this season. One of the best teams that, as far as what they brought in transfer wise, surprising is Oklahoma State. because you saw North Texas was very close. Did they make the college football playoff? If they didn't, they were very close last year.
They were close.
I don't remember. But you have a quarterback, Drew Mustamaker, who threw for over 4,000 yards last year, 34 TDs, transferred to Oklahoma State. Not only that, running back Caleb Hawkins, 1,800 yards rushing last year from guess where? North Texas.
North Texas.
Went to Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Not only that, Wyatt Young, 1,200 yards receiving last year. Where'd he come from? North Texas.
North Texas.
So those three key players in the offense are going into a better offense at Oklahoma State. Without Mike Gundy, they will probably have a pretty good season this year.
They will.
Indiana, they lost Mendoza to obviously the graduation, but Josh Hoover from TCU transferred in. So they've got a good quarterback there. And then you have, of course, Brandon Sorensby. He went from Cincinnati to Texas Tech. You've got Darian Mezda, who went from Duke to Miami. That was a huge hoopla.
Yeah.
And, of course, Auburn, Alex Golesh. Well, he brought his 2-star players from South Florida. He brought Byron Brown, and he brought Keshawn Singleton, a receiver and a quarterback, to Auburn with him. Dare we even mention LSU?
Vanderbilt's got the
transfer
player from Georgia.
portal. Yeah, the transfer portal. The college football is going to be an absolute wreck.
Tennessee's got Baker also from Georgia.
Yeah.
So it does work either way. Work either way. Now, of course, North Texas is known for basically two things in the state of Tennessee: beat Tennessee in 1975. And Mean Joe Green. That's well known for that. And of course, college football. They're discussing the changes that they're going to make. The targeting rules going to be modified. Possibly will shove the opening of the season up a week early so they can get in, not have to do it any longer than they absolutely have to. And of course, basketball. A lot of things happening here as well. Baseball, softball, the Lady Vols softball team doing quite well. Started out 26-0, was number one for a number of weeks for losing a few games. The baseball team, they're struggling a bit, but that sort of thing, and that sort of thing.
Well, they asked Vitello what they needed or what was wrong with Tennessee football, and he basically said from San Francisco, he said, sounds to me like that dugout needs a good come to Jesus meeting. And I'm like, well, you might be right, because the head coach they have now he's intense, but he's not intense as Vitello was. Yeah. Vitello had a way to motivate. He had a way to bring out the best in you. It was like, you had 1 year go. That was it.
Yeah.
And I that taking that intensity away, I think it's affecting the dynamic of the team a little bit. Yeah. They'll settle in. I think they'll be fine. But they're still trying to figure this thing out without Vitello there. Who, speaking of Vitello, he's struggling in San Francisco. They're last place in the Los Angeles in the National League West, but got his first ejection the other night. I did see that, and but he's otherwise doing well. And I'm not a San Francisco Giant fan, but I would wear a Vitello jersey if I had one.
Oh yeah. Okay, well, when we come back, we're going to talk about the baseball, your favorite subject, and of course, here we go again. And that's I knew that was going to be a mistake for him to
admit to it. It's about war plumb out.
And don't take a lot of talent to be an Atlanta Braves player or a fan. So anyway, we'll come back and get him up and riled again as you're watching the Mike and Bradley Sports Scene here on Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative Channel 18.
You need a bank that you can depend on. Here at Citizens Tri-County Bank, we have the most dependable staff that you will ever meet. Call in, you will not get an automated attendant, you'll get a person. But on the other side, we have all the technology that anyone would need, from apps to online banking to bill pay. So please come and grow with us as we're about to celebrate our 50th year. We are the only community bank you will ever need.
Come and see the beautiful Sequatchie Valley. And while you're here, visit the Dunlap Mercantile. We have a full line of hats from Resistol, Stetson, Charlie One Horse, American Hat Makers, GG Pip, Greeley hats from the TV show Yellowstone, and a full line of vintage hats. Make sure to check out our hat bar where we can clean, shape, and customize a hat just for you, right here at the Dunlap Mercantile.
At Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter, we're committed to be better. Better prices, better vehicles, a better experience. Your Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter understands that you rely on us to provide you with the highest quality of used vehicles. With over 350 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. So what are you waiting for? Let us show you a better experience with the Jason Lewis Automotive family. Come visit us at Rankin Avenue here in Dunlap or on the web at dunlapsupercenter.com.
Okay, we are back, and I'm gonna hate to have to bring this up because Bradley's just can't wait. He's like a dog. He's like a dog going at a piece of red meat. And we're gonna talk a little about baseball. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Baseball, of course, NBA season about to calm down. We'll probably get into that a little later. But Bradley, you got a bad case of bursitis or something?
I do. I got my chomping arm.
Everybody knows that was not originally conceived by Atlanta. It was conceived by Florida State.
I don't care where it come from. Atlanta made it famous.
Yeah, whatever.
It don't matter if it come from
whatever.
Aruba, Jamaica. Who I want to take it? I don't care.
Yeah, right. Whatever.
Hey, Braves brought it. Braves brought it to fame.
So we're going to talk about three teams, and specifically your Atlanta Bees and the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants.
You you might be surprised to know that the Braves were actually called the Bees at one time.
I know they were the Boston Bees.
They were the Boston Bees, the Boston Bean Eaters. They were the Boston Braves,
the Milwaukee
Braves, and now the Atlanta Braves. And then the next thing you know, they're going to be the Bradley Hargis Braves because I'm going to get a whole bunch of money and buy them, and it's going to be look out.
It ain't going to happen. There's a thing that the late James Lovell, the NASA astronaut, they of course this week the Artemis 2 crew circled around the moon. They're heading back right now. He flew on Apollo 8. Was a Braves fan. Mm-hmm. Believe it or not, he was a Braves fan, and he said the best way you could rile him was to make fun of his Braves.
That's right.
Then when they were the Milwaukee Braves, when he was with Atlanta, that sort of thing.
I know how he feels.
So when Jim Lovell, of course, who died last year at age 97. Of course, was a Braves fan. So I was reading that one time. So the Artemis 2 crew, of course, got the message from Jim Lovell, telling welcome to the neighborhood, and of course, as hopefully his Braves might win a World Series.
What? How'd that taste coming out of your mouth?
I said might. Now I qualify that because you remember how they like to explode in October?
Here's the thing. I told you I was going to ask you, above all, who is your favorite baseball player?
The ones that beat the Braves.
I need a name.
No. I said the ones that beat the Braves.
My favorite baseball player for all time was two, actually. A tie for first place was Ryne Sandberg, second baseman for the Chicago Cubs back in the 90s, and Cal Ripken Jr., shortstop and then third base for the Baltimore Orioles. And the reason is those two guys are my team, or my players. My favorite team obviously is the Braves. Neither one ever played for the Braves. Mm-hmm. But when I would get off the bus to school and go to Mama's house and get off the bus and walk in, if the Braves were not playing on TBS, Papa was watching the Cubs on Channel 7, WGN. So I grew up cheering for the Braves and watching most of the Cubs games on GBN because they played them every day. So I got to liking the Cubs, and I liked old Ryne Sandberg. And then when I started playing T-ball, the first team that I played for was the Orioles, Burns Farms Orioles. And when I was like, the Orioles are pretty cool, so I started watching some of them and following their team and Cal Ripken Jr. was on that team, those two are my favorite two players.
I got a cousin that lives up near Baltimore, and she is a great Baltimore Orioles fan. But then again, nobody's perfect. Nobody's perfect.
Well,
that's sort of thing.
But the Braves have always been my team, and we talk about the very, very early parts of the season. The Braves already doing better this year than they did last year. Second place, they're half a game back from New York Mets. And the thing that kind of stands out to me, and I told you during the break, the two teams that might really surprise a lot of people this year, and I hate to say it, but the Miami Marlins is probably going to be one of those teams. They're young. They don't really know how hard baseball is supposed to be, and they're playing pretty good ball. They're right up there with the rest of them. And the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates are producing on offense. They got pitching to go with it. I'm telling you, those two teams might make a run. I'm not taking anything away from Milwaukee or Chicago in the NL Central, but Pittsburgh Pirates going to give them a run for their money. And I'm just kind of wondering, if you look at the National League, and you look at the Mets. Let's look at the National League East. You look at the Mets. How good are they without Soto, Lindor? How good are they without those two players? How good are the Braves without Acuna, Riley, or Olsen? How good are the Braves? Of course, Riley's not producing very much, so they wouldn't really miss him. How good are the Phillies without Bryce Harper or Kyle Schwarber, or those guys? So again, you go look at the Marlins. They're really young. If one guy gets hurt, they pull one out of the farm system, puts him in there because it's not really going to be a big trade-off. So the Marlins have a chance to really make a deep run if they keep themselves, focused on what they're doing. Obviously, New York Yankees are one of the best teams in baseball right now, along with the Los Angeles Dodgers. That's to be expected because both of those teams pay an astronomical amount of money to get the best players to come and play for them. And I can't not cheer, for the Dodgers this year, as we mentioned. Our friend Albert, and Albert, I might as well call Albert.
I'm going to be brave cheering for the Dodgers because for Albert. And
I'm going to go ahead and say Albert. I'm going to go ahead and say Albert's my family because we're so we grew up. I grew up around Albert. My Aunt Vicky, my Uncle Marvin. So Albert is pretty much family to me. And I won't. It wouldn't make me mad if the Dodgers won it again, but it comes down to the Dodgers and the Braves. Albert, I'm sorry. I'm cheering for the Braves.
Albert's going to come down from heaven one day. First thing when you die, he's going to meet you at the gate, and he's going to have this thing, and he's saying, "So what do you mean you're not for the Dodgers? What do you mean you are not for the Dodgers?" And that's what he's going to do. He's going to come out. He's going to meet you at the heaven gate. So I said, "Don't let him in." And you'll see God with a Dodgers cap on his head.
I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think God's going to be wearing a Dodgers hat. But did you notice if anybody watched last night? Today's Wednesday, April the 8th.
Yeah.
Last night, April 7th, the Braves are playing in Los Angeles, but they're playing the Dodgers, playing the Angels.
Mm-hmm.
Had a big brawl last night. First inning, George Soler, who played for the Braves, you may remember him playing when the Braves won the World Series a few years ago. He was the one that hit the ball into outer space, and it still hadn't landed yet. Maybe the artist team that are circling can maybe find that floating out there because I don't think it's ever come down. He's playing with the Angels now as a DH. Well, the first inning he got up, hit a home run. The second at bat, he got hit with a pitch. The third at bat, a pitch came up high and tight and kind of rocked him off his feet a little bit. Wasn't happy about that, rightfully so. He hit a home run, then he got hit, and the ball came very close. I can understand why Soler was upset. I'm not saying he was right. I'm not saying he was wrong. But he stepped out toward the mound. Lopez stepped forward, drew his hands out, and next thing you know, bench is cleared, bullpen's empty, and they have a brawl. But I will say this. Lopez had the baseball in his hand, took a swing at Soler. Yeah. Thankfully, hit his batting helmet. But the play of the night was Walt Weiss, who is Atlanta Braves manager now, took Solar down.
Yeah.
He played with Solar. They were teammates. They're friends. He didn't do it maliciously, but he knew that if he didn't get Solar, being as big guy as he is, if he didn't get him down on the ground, there was going to be somebody going to get hurt. So he goes out there and tackles George Solar, puts him on the ground, and tries to talk him down. And now, from what I understand, the Atlanta Falcons have offered Walt Weiss a contract for him to play linebacker because he did such a good job tackling George Solar last night. But laying all jokes aside, it was a nasty thing last night. Suspension's probably going to come, at least for Solar and Ronaldo Lopez. Those two guys were ejected last night, probably going to get suspensions.
Yeah.
Not really something you want to see this early in the season. At least there is some tenacity and fire in that team. Both teams wanting to compete and get an early edge. And what can you say, since we're talking about the Braves, since the Braves are on the table, Drake Baldwin, their catcher, is raking right now. I mean, he's in the top 5 in home runs. He is in the top 5 in RBIs. And Bryce Elder, who I thought was one of the ones that had surgery on his elbow, turns out that was Waldrop. Waldrop is the one that had surgery. Elder has a 0 ERA right now, so he's one of the top 3 pitchers in the National League right now, having more than one or two quality starts with no ERA. I mean, the Braves have the right pieces in place if they can just stay healthy, But you can't count those Marlins. You got to watch those Mets, and you definitely got to watch those Dodgers.
Well, I think you're going to see about the Braves do what's known as the Choketober. And so here, okay, well, of course, Tony Vitello, first season as the manager of the San Francisco Giants. Not a very auspicious start, but he's trying to work him in.
He's 4-8. He's 4-8 on the year. Again, it's really early. But the cards are stacked against him anyway, because he's in a market. He's in a market with Los Angeles, San Diego, Arizona. Yeah. I mean, Arizona is second place right now.
Yeah.
Good teams, but just being in the market right there in Southern California, or mid to Southern California, with Los Angeles, the Angels, the Dodgers, the Padres. I mean, he's already got the cards stacked against him. I think he'll do well if they can just progress. I think he would have done even better if Buster Posey was still catching, and he had that leadership in the locker room. I think that would help Vitello a lot. But Buster Posey's retired, so it remains to be seen. They might come up and win a wild card or something and get to the playoffs.
Well, so I'm going to ask you this question here. Now, this has been asked of me, and I played baseball, and you played baseball. Yes, I have played baseball, so I know something about it. Just if every 100 pitches, I might actually hit a ball.
So it's not like fishing,
Yeah, well, like I said, I only played it because basically it's more out of curiosity than anything else.
Yeah.
Okay, which would you prefer, wooden bats or aluminum bats?
Wooden bats.
I prefer wooden bats because I'll tell you the reason why. Because when the ball hits an aluminum bat, you feel like
well, if you hit it wrong, you do.
Yeah.
But the velocity off of a metal bat, which is why I think that they should be playing with wooden bats in college, because when you get to that level, you are smashing the ball, and the ball's coming off the bat. If you hit it well and square, 105. 110 coming at you. I think it's a safety issue to me. I mean, in college you have the option. You can bat with a wooden bat or you can bat with a metal bat as long as it's legal within the standards of the NCAA.
Yeah.
But still, those bats the metal bats are hot. And it's the same thing that happens even with softball. The slow pitch softball.
Yeah.
You can get those bats that are just absolutely juiced. People can get hurt very quickly with those things. So when it gets to the level of college, especially in the upper levels, I really find it hard to justify them, playing with a aluminum bat. And the only reason that they do it is, number one, it's lighter.
Yeah.
Number two, there's more velocity off of it, which is why you don't ever hardly see Little League playing with wood bats.
Yeah.
Because of the weight, because of velocity off of it. They play with metal bats so they can actually get around on it, and get a good hit. At that level, college and up, they ought to be playing with wood. I'm a sucker for tradition, and I love the wood bats. If they ever put metal bats in the major leagues, then you might as well just let everybody juice with steroids, because there are going to be so many home runs hit and so many hurt people, especially pitchers, when they're throwing a pitch at 103 miles an hour and it comes off the bat at 112.
Yeah.
You don't have very much time to react to
No,
it.
you don't.
So because of safety and tradition, I'm a wooden bat man.
The thing about it is that when I used a aluminum bat, for some strange reason, when I take a swing, the bat would slip. And no matter how grippy, it would slip. And actually, a few times it actually flew out of my hand before the ball got there. I don't know why it would just do that. Maybe somehow I couldn't get a grip on aluminum bat. No problem with a wooden bat. I could get the same type of
aluminum
grip.
bat's got the sticky grips on it.
Yeah. Well,
You couldn't hold on to that.
Maybe it's the way I position how I held the hand. Maybe somehow subconsciously that.
You didn't go up there and stand your back to home plate, did you?
No, I did not.
But the pitch goes behind you, and you were.
No, I didn't. And and for some reason is that when I played baseball, there would seem to be like they would try to intentionally beam me. I was the small guy.
I can't imagine anybody wanting to do that to you, Mike.
Well, I always had this feeling in my head because I was smaller that we're going to try to beam me. And I've been beamed a few times.
I'll tell you what I did. When I played T-ball, I played 1 year of baseball. And my frame wasn't cut out for it. I mean, let's be honest. I had an on-base percentage that was through the roof, if they could figure that out. And here's how I'd do that. I would get on base almost every time I was up to bat, because even as a kid, I had a big gut.
Yeah.
So I would stand where you were supposed to stand, but I would get close enough to the plate that when the pitch would come in, it would go and just nick my belly. It wouldn't hit me, but it would nick me enough to be hit by pitch. And the umpire would be like, hit by pitch, take your base. Yes, sir. And I would run to first base, get through out of second. But I was always getting on base because I had learned that if I stood close enough to the plate, it would nick my stomach with the pitch. I was scared to death to swing at the ball. I was afraid to strike out. I was afraid of that embarrassment. I would rather get hit in the stomach than swing at a ball, because I was just afraid to strike out. That's just the way I was. Now looking back, I wish I had just swung the hound out of it, because at practice and stuff I did. But in a game, I was scared. I didn't want to fail in front of everybody. That's just one thing that I was always on my mind. But I've been a lifelong baseball fan, and I can't. You can really knock the whale out of a ball if you use an aluminum bat.
They used to tell me when I went out for baseball, at the little league teams, of course, they really wouldn't make it. Rarely they would make it. They'd tell me, go play football. I said, well, the football people told me to go play baseball. You get the idea. Let's face it, I was not a great athlete. I really didn't.
Well, you could have always played badminton.
I didn't do very well in that either, as a matter of fact. But to be honest, I didn't really go out to play to be, to be recruited by Major League Baseball or pro football or anything like that. I just played it because I wanted to do something, and I probably was about really the only one in the family that actually went out for sports. I think my sister played at Old Lusk Elementary in the 70s. I remember her in uniform and that sort of thing. And of course, my older brother Clark played ball for elementary school, but turns out he couldn't take what the coach was dishing out on him, so it was sort of thing. But wood bats versus aluminum bats has always been this sort of controversy. Remember the pine tar incident with
George Brett?
Yeah, that was fun. That always gets on the blooper reel. He's going in there and he's like, "Hey, there's too much pine tar on his bat," and he flips his lid.
Well, it's a lot easier to juice an aluminum bat than it is to cheat with a wood bat. And the reason for that is really the only way you can cheat with a wood bat. I mean, do I think that pine tar gave him an advantage of hitting that home run? No. But it was just a way to get that took off, and it was a loophole that the opposing team saw. The pine tar was too high up on the bat, and it was wired to the plate, so he's out. They took that run away. It is what it is. But the only way to juice a wooden bat like that is to bore it out and put cork in it. The only problem with that is we've seen time and time again with Sammy Sosa, with Chris Sabo, with all kinds of players who have been caught cheating red-handed because the bat breaks and cork flies everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't really, you really, if you're a power hitter and you're hitting with a cork bat, the bat is likely going to break.
Yeah, it will shatter.
I mean, it's just the way it is.
You could tell whether the bat's been spiked because by the way it breaks. You can tell about this. You don't have to be a baseball fan to figure, there's something not funny here because the other bats don't do it. Why is this one doing it?
Yeah, most bats, like you said, you can tell the way they break, and that's just I don't know, but I'm a wood bat man, and I think that's if they ever put metal bats, which I doubt they ever will because of contracts and things like that. But if they ever allow metal bats in the major leagues, there's gonna be a lot of people hurt.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of birds. They're gonna stay for the stadium.
Yeah.
Too. But okay. Well, anyway, of course, NBA playoffs are set to begin, and of course, the NBA, of course, I never watched NBA basketball. I don't watch
NBA that much either, but I can tell you this: here's a rundown real quick. If you're a Boston Celtics fan, a New York Knicks fan, a Detroit Pistons fan, a Cleveland Cavaliers fan in the Eastern Conference, you're going to be all right. If you're a fan of the Thunder, the Nuggets, Timberwolves, you're going to be all right. Lakers, you're okay. Spurs, Rockets, you're okay. There's better teams in the West than there are in the East. But the best team in the whole thing is probably the Oklahoma City Thunder. Next to them is going to be the Detroit Pistons. So you've got some good talent on both sides, and I think it's going to be interesting to fix. It won't be long until the NBA playoffs get fixed up and start rolling. They're already clinching divisions. They're already clinching playoff berths. Yeah. So those things are already happening. And once that starts rolling around, it's just a matter of time, just a few more weeks, of the NBA will be rolling over in the playoffs. Well,
of course, there's some comments from NBA players that the Memphis Grizzlies should move to Nashville.
Well, that's a comment from LeBron James.
Yeah, LeBron. Yeah.
And I wouldn't say NBA players plural. It's NBA player because he would rather come to Nashville because he don't want to go to Memphis. And. What's funny is because LeBron always gets what LeBron wants. You remember that? I mentioned at the very beginning of the show, the SBS, the spoiled brat syndrome. That's LeBron James.
But I don't think Memphis is going to. The Grizzlies are going to move to Nashville even what he wants. So like I said, tough luck. And he's going to have to just play through the pain.
It's going to kind of be one of those things. Back in the day when WWE was a lot bigger than it is now, and Stone Cold Steve Austin had this saying, he'd ask why this is happening, because Stone Cold said so. Well, everything that happens in the NBA almost, especially with the Los Angeles Lakers, is because LeBron James says so. And I'm not a big fan of the NBA, but I got to be honest with you, I'm about so sick of hearing the things about LeBron James.
Yeah.
I wish he'd go ahead and retire. Especially with the argument of who's the best player to ever play the game of basketball, and they try to match him up with the likes of Michael Jordan. And I'm like, completely different dynamic, completely different era of basketball, and longevity, playing as long as LeBron James has.
Yeah.
The longevity does not measure greatness.
No.
You measure greatness by how you play at your peak. And Michael Jordan is arguably, in my opinion, one of the best players to ever play the game of basketball, and I don't even know that LeBron James would be in my top 5.
I don't believe it. But there's a story of how Stone Cold Steve Austin got his nickname. One day he was chatting. He had a cup of coffee in his hand, and one said, "You better drink that coffee or it gets stone cold." That's it. That's how I get the nickname, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Again, like I said, it's how you look at it and that sort of thing. I think is that sports will always be there. It's unscripted drama, as they say, which is probably true, and that sort of thing. Of course, they're talking about eliminating the SEC championship game. They said, "Well, you're playing 9 conference games. Why have another one?"
Yeah.
That sort of. Well, that makes some sense, but it's the exposure, the money, and the teams want to appear in that for a shot at the national title.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I think this just do it for us here, and as we covered just probably nearly the whole spectrum of sports, and we'll see you the next time. And Bradley, I know you got some final words to say.
I sure do. As always, go blue. Get out there and support those Warriors in baseball, softball, soccer, flag football, and everything else they do. Support those boys in blue and girls in blue, and let's rally behind the Warriors and get them some victories. Go blue, go Braves. Whoo, can't wait to see how this season goes.
Yeah.
Already off to a good start. And go Big Orange.
And watch Choke October happen in September. Anyway,
Keep the chopper warmed up.
Anyway, but of course, again, Monday night you're going to have the baseball, you're going to have softball, and you're going to have flag football on at Bledsoe County High School. We want you to turn out for all those if possible. Get triple threat, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And so bid you farewell, and we'll see you next time on the Mike and Bradley Sports Scene here on Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative Channel 18. Good day, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Brought to you by Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative in the Sequatchie Valley.